A very good morning to all of you, both who are in the hall as well as virtually participating from different parts of the world. A very good morning, very good afternoon and good evening. Today we are in the 7th session of the virtual consultation, Science for Resilient Food, Nutrition and Livelihoods, Contemporary Challenges. I don't need to mention about the contemporary challenges in the event of COVID-19. It is much, a constrained situation. But to brighten up the situation, especially to safeguard the agricultural systems, this session is now crafted. It is titled as Post-Harvest Markets and Supply Chain. And we have 4 eminent speakers with us. Dr. C.Anandharamakrishnan, Director IFPT. It is located in Thanjavur. Dr. C. Shambu Prasad from Institute of Rural Management, Anand. Mr.Gagandeep Singh Bedi, IAS, a dynamic officer and the Commissioner and Principal Secretary to Government of Tamil Nadu in the, for Agriculture. And Dr. Nikita Gopal, Principal Scientist, Central Institute of Fisheries and Technology, Cochin. Before we get into this session, it will be appropriate, if I hand over the mic to my colleague, Dr. Rangalakshmi, who is also along with me in the panel. She is a practitioner of setting up the Farmer Producer Organization and has done extensive work with respect to the title is concerned. Now I hand it over to her so that she can explain why this session is important and what is the key expectation out of this session.
Thank you, Dr. Hariharan, and welcome you all for this session, Post-Harvest Market and Supply Chain. And during the last 3 months, as we all experienced the importance of post-harvest technology and the supply chains, during the COVID time, we faced great difficulty both at the farmer level and consumer level. So with this background, the Government of India has been making an efforts to doubling the farmer's income, which is a kind of a main drive towards which many of the schemes have been in implementation both at the central as well as state governments. Here there is a need to simultaneously work apart from the production technology. The production technologies are helping in reducing the yield gap and improving the productivity. But at the same time, how to increase the income of the farmers, how to bring them their participation in value chain, the whole value chain of the particular crops. Those are very important in the context of increasing or doubling the farmer's income. And here there is a consistent effort to put production-centric approaches to income-centric approaches in the context of the new policy. I hope small farmers are in a better position to adopt or get into the value chain if provided adequate opportunities and infrastructure and policy support. And right now policy support and enabling environment has been created. Now we need to push them how to come forward to be an active player and set the trend towards the income centricity. So with that, we will get into the session. The eminent speakers come from different background, will give a kind of their own personal experiences as well as the strategies to meet the post-harvest market and supply chain. So with that, I'll hand over to the first speaker, Dr. Anantharamakrishnan, Director, Indian Institute of Food Processing Technology. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sir, 1 minute before you start, I have a pleasant duty to introduce you to the audience. So just bear with me for a few seconds. Dr. Anandharamakrishnan, commonly referred, is an Indian scientist and academician. He is basically a chemical engineer, I understand. In the field of food processing, he has 2 decades of experience in R&D of CSIR CFTRI, Central Food Technological Research Institute, Mysore. From April 2016, he is serving as the director of the Indian Institute of Food Processing Technology, Thanjavur. I have the pleasure in visiting his institution It is covering all dimensions of food processing, I should say. And right from very critical aspects of food processing, his institution is also involved in developing machines which can reduce the drudgery of especially women in various facets of food processing and so on. And with that, he has also demonstrated how he was able to also take those technology to the people so that it can really benefit. Many scientists today discover, but many of the discoveries are still remaining in the lab. So here is a person where he has taken the technology to the people and really empowered those people to make use of it and also improve their lives and livelihoods. So with this small introduction, I request you to start the presentation. We also welcome the other panel members, and I am able to see Mr. Gagandeep Singh Bedi and Shambu Prasad and others. Sir, welcome all of you to the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hariharan sir, and thank you so much for our professor for inviting me for this wonderful sessions. And today I'm going to talk about value addition and food processing. And mainly I'm going to focus on sustainability strategies because United Nations already announced sustainable strategies for other field. But we need to look how food processing and this agriculture value chain can be sustainable. That's what today, next another 20 to 25 minutes, I'm going to present about this different sustainability strategies. And why we need to process the food. A lot of people already started talking about processed food is not good, all these things. But it's the main purpose of processed food is remove the pathogens, toxins. We can't take the milk directly from whatever we are collecting. We need to pasteurize because after 2 hours we need to pasteurize. After that only we can take. So that means we need to process the food. First we need to understand why we are doing it. Then improve the food taste, increase the shelf life and convenience to the transport. Apart from that, nutrition. Per day requirement of all the nutrition we need to give for single pack of the product means we need to add multiple components. We can't get all the things in the single component. For example, omega-3 fatty acids. Our body can't synthesize omega-3 fatty acids. We have to supplement from outside source. Then how to mix this omega-3 fatty acid in the regular diet? So that means processed food is the ideal solution. For example, food fortification, anemic. And the inaugural session, our Honorable Vice President is emphasis on our country is facing malnourishment. How to compact that one? We need to fortify the all iron component, all other vitamins, micronutrient, everything. So that means food processing is a record. And how we need to do that, how we are delivering, that is the key element what we are going to look into that. And fresh foods and processed foods in the local produce, if you look at present scenario, people are talking a lot about fresh food. But this data is published by IFPT'S journal and last 3 months data. 3 to 5 times processed food demand is increased because of, we know COVID, they need processed food. Because even India itself 150 times increased the demand for ready to eat products. So that means processed food required for even such a scenario. And even Government of India taken a lot of steps and including the state governments, we make sure all the food grains and processed food has to be reached every household, even these difficult times. That means this supply chain and this industry, we need to fine tune still more robust, not only to serve for our country, we have to serve for throughout the globe. How we are going to do? Next. If you look at Indian food processing sector, we are 6th largest grocery market in the world, and almost 19% of the workforce is there in our food processing sector, 14% of the total industry output, and we are 5th in the size in the production and market and export, and almost 10% of the GDP we are contributing the agriculture sector. More than that, right now 10% of the total export comes from food processing sector. But we have the 2 sectors in it. One is the macro sector, normal food processing sector. Another one is micro food processing sector. Almost 25 lakh unorganized micro food processing sectors are there in India. We are the second next to China, world second, but we need to bring into the main line. Because what happened if you are not able to brought this sector into the mainstream, because this is the sector directly linked to the farm gate. So if you are thinking about increase the farmers' income, farmers get more benefit, the whole robust supply chain you wanted to go for, we need to empower this 25 lakh food processing enterprise into the organized manner. Because of this, most of the 66% as per the data are in the rural sector. Then 80% mostly from the family one. And it has some inherent problems such as main is lack of branding and marketing and skills. This is the what they unable to move upward directions because they produce, they take suppose for example chips, potato chips, they brought the local market, make it the chips, small pack, very small labeling. It's not going to help now. Properly we have to pack, we need to protect the nitrogen packing, and all these things, who will going to tell them? And how to empower this small micro entrepreneurship. That is the first one. Second one is deficiency in the quality and safety control system in the small, because they're not having much awareness about what is the quality precautions and what are the good manufacturing practices to be taken care. And most of these micro units, they used to take the loan from the banking sector. This put lot of problems on this sector to move upward directions. So how to formalize this system? That we need to look, if you are looking at a proper manner of making the whole supply chain from the farm gate to the primary, secondary, tertiary processing to link. So that's what we need to take each, that the whole supply chain, how we are going to look into that. That's what the sustainability is come to play major role. This is the what we wanted to propose sustainability strategies for future Indian food industry. If you look at first raw material availability, including the water resource, the world itself has the only 3% of the water is available for the potable or drinking water. Out of that, 2% in the ice form. Remaining 1% only available to process it, and groundwater level continuously is going down in our country. So how we are going for that? Without water, how we are going to do our cleaning and other purpose, as well as making the fruit juice and other lines, how we are going to that. So raw material availability. Second one is around 100 kilometer range. If your transport of your raw material we are bringing is fine. You are going for beyond 1000 kilometers, that put lot of pressure on our whole supply chain. We are talking mostly on supply chain from the backward and forward integration from the farm gate to the table. But another one supply chain is there from raw material to the industry. How we are taking, again trucks are moving from the backward. So how that energy efficient and how much is the fossil fuel used for that. So that is the one thing we need to make sure that Indian industry has to look very seriously, how to minimize water usage in the factory and how to reuse the water usage and waste utilization, the technological upgradation. That is the key element here. For example, if you look at the rice mills, India is the largest producer of the rice. Large number of the rice mills are there. Till we have 31% wastage, average wastage in our country. But if you look at some of the mills, wastage is going beyond 50%. After, because broken rice is continuously generated, and how we are going to utilize this rice. It has the starch, it has the protein, how to utilize, and rice bran, and how to use this one. That's the waste utilization. And we need to keep eye on the regulations if you wanted to sustain in this industry. And supply chain management already I explained. And we need to minimize the transport of the material and how we are going to minimize it. How is the effective manner of transport? Either a cold chain management or normal supply chain management. And how all the each kilometer travel by the food product added the value to the price on the our produce. So how we are going to manage all the things before deciding our industry to run a new product launching. And moreover, consumer preference and market demand continuously changing. Now people are wanted every 6 months, every 1 year they want a new mobile phone, new app is coming like that. So people are changing, mindset is changing. Our industry can't change as per that. We can't change the production line every 6 months. So how we are cope up with that market demand and consumer preference, and moreover nutritional security. 30% of our country population is malnourishment. Our kids, every minute one single kid is dying. That's what our Vice President has mentioned in the inaugural session. How we are going to do that? That's the biggest responsibility in the food industry. like institutions like IFPT and other institutions, organized the government of India, everybody has a responsibility to make sure we get full nutrition 3-time meal. So the sustainability goal should be go with these lines, and we need to make sure our industry objective to deliver all these things, keep in the mind. If you look at the regulations, this one, already a lot of countries made the taxation on the higher salt, sugar and fat. And if you look into that, how many research and how we are going to address this one, because FSSAI already asked to reduce the salt and sugar. We are not made the higher taxation, but other countries already started. It may come to us as well. So how we are going to do that? If salt, how to make the low salt product, and surface salt is fine. We made some product on the nano salt is possible, but only salt perception we can reduce it. But actual intake of the salt, how to do that? What is the alternative with us? What is the alternative for sugar? Because you can make the alternative sugar, but problem is the cost. If you add the cost is more on the any product, sustainability in the market is the big question mark. So this is the way we are standing in between. So we need to put a lot of emphasis, lot of research onto that, how to bring our industry to do such things that take advantage of the alternative salt and sugar, and how take the input from the institutions, research organization, a lot of input has to go from this. And consumer preference, if you look at consumer wants customization, because now trend is entirely changing. Earlier we used to take food for the energy, then nutrition. Now they want individual preference, because what I'm taking, my son doesn't like it, and my father needed different food. So this is the what present scenario. Because after a particular age, our body can't regenerate muscles. If you want more muscles, you need a more amount of the protein. So that much amount of the protein not required for me. So this is the what the personalized nutrition come into play. How to go with high amount of the protein, how to feed it, how to reduce some of the sugar, carbohydrate, and all for some particular things. So out of 10 people, recent survey in US, 8 people are preferring to go for personalized food. So that means how industry will go with that, because bulk production we are producing. Now here they want customized food, and earlier they taken the food for some enjoyment. Now food for soul, they linking the food with the mind. Some of the food what they take, they changes the character. That's what they believe it, and they want a ethical food choice. What is that? If some industries produce the food ethical manner, good manufacturing practice without child labor, they do proper branding, everything properly they does, and people out of 10 people, 4 people wanted to buy such product. So convenience and taste, and apart from that, brand. This is play the major role even in the food industry. So this is the what our industry is stuck here. So how to go with this one? Next. And market demand. Market demand one is now continuously increasing. What I said earlier, how to give more proteins. So they are looking for alternative source of the protein, plants origin proteins. So can we do the meat analogues using the plant? Yes, it's possible. We can increase the protein content. So, but how to create meat in the plant origin? You take the cereals, legume, proteins, how to play around that. IFPT is working to create the artificial meat and meat analogues using the different source of the agriculture produces. So what will happen? If suppose if you take the jackfruit as the source of this meat analogues, then jackfruit market will go up. That's what we try to do that. And this meat cost is lower than the normal animal meat cost. Definitely our farmers will get benefited, and we have the load on the carbon dioxide in the environment. Also we can reduce when we are reducing the animal for the feeding meat purpose. So this is the what we have to think and we need to work on, and market continuously increasing for the meat analogues throughout the globe. That's what you can see. The leading brands already introduced the artificial meat for their burgers and other things. And again, another alternatives for milk alternatives. We know milk is a wonderful emulsion, but it gives 3% proteins. But people wanted more proteins. They are looking for other alternatives. Some people have the lactose intolerance. How they can go with? For example, chia seed. Chia has 30% protein and alpha-linoleic acid. We can create the milk. Rice, we can create the milk. but how to create a equivalent to the God-made emulsion. That is the big challenge. That's what a scientist has to work out, how to make that emulsion should not break and should not face separation, coagulation or flagellation should not happen. How to create that bubbles and the ionic strength can be increased to keep longer shelf life of this milk. If we are able to do that, definitely this withstand the longer line, including the coconut milk can be a better alternative. So all our farmers will get more benefit out of that. And we should remember that we are not only selling the raw product and water also we are selling along with the product. That's what the business all about it, the food business. So food business already the margin is very, very minimum. And if you add the high value added like this, definitely every person who involved this supply chain or this whole value chain, they will get the benefit out of that. High valued product, the superfoods. This is a buzzword. Now you can look at the superfoods, the list. Most of the products are available in India. And if you look at the green tea is a good, green tea catechins is the good for our health, but how much per cup of the green tea will get it benefit out of that? Catechins will have the, per cup of the green tea, it has the 10 milligram of the catechins is there. And if you take the 1 cup of the tea, you get only 2% absorbed in our body because of alkaline nature of our industry. So we can go for the other alternatives. We can get it. And coconut water and turmeric, black garlic, hemp, chia, all these things are going on, including our millet. How to make these products available for throughout the globe. And this is the statistics for last 3 months in the US, 56% of the population wanted to take in the superfoods. So we need to brand our product. For example, black garlic or turmeric or millets or green tea, whatever it is available in our country, we need to make sure these superfoods will dominate throughout the globe. Then our value will increase. The technology upgradation. This is the what I mentioned in the initial slide of sustainable development. We need to continuously upgrade our technology until unless we can't sustain our industries, our Indian industry to compete with the other industries. For example, now personalized nutrition, personalized food they want. That means normally we'll produce the bulk. Can we make the whole processing industry unit into the small miniature? That's what 3D printing will offer. And 3D printing, anything you can print whatever you want. You can add the carbohydrate, proteins, fibers, which is the composition you want. This will print for you. And India's first 3D printer machine has been developed by IFPT, and we brought first 3D printing scientific reports from our country. And not only that single nozzle, and you have seen the figure, and we have done for multiple head 3D printer also, food printers. Now we are working 4D printing as well in IFPT. Next slide.
Sir, 3 minutes
and these are some examples. Yes, sir. These are some examples. You can see the 3D printing, how it will give the advantage. One is that we have done mushroom with the chicken, and chicken does not have the fiber. We can add the substitute from the mushroom, we can print. And the different grains we have taken, and we have made the snacks out of this. And we even waste rice husk, I said, from the rice mill, we can convert into like a plate and spoons, cups. We can be a better alternative for the single-use plastic when it comes for the biscuit casing and other things. This is another advantage. This 3D printer can do such operation, but only thing that the speed and production rate is slow. That can be worked out, and we can make it a multiple operational. It's possible to do in the large scale. And fruit wine, it's another area is continuously growing in the market in our country. For example, banana, we can make it as a banana wine. And garcinia is a wonderful fruit, and Malabar tamarind and Kodakampuli, they used to call, that can be converted as the hydroxycitric acid is available in this garcinia. It's a weight reduction. We can convert the fruit wine. And we have done some waste utilization. For example, we worked with the Siddha starch. They supply the potato for the PepsiCo. Lot of waste is generated from the starch from the potato peel. So what we did, we collected that peel and we converted into the starch. We substitute that crisp chips 50% from the peeled one. So now it is in the market. This is what we need to think the industry, how to go with the waste utilization and all. So none of it, yes, you look at except selenium and vitamin C, all the micronutrients absorbs less than 50%. For example, iron, it absorbs only 10%. So nano food is the other alternative. Next. high pressure processing and pulse electric, cold plasma, and the different packaging solution. You look at the edible cookie and coffee. Coffee, when you are taking the coffee itself, you can take that biscuit. So that's what edible cup has been brought, and IFPT also worked with the alternative to single-use plastic. We use the starch, corn starch with the cotton. We brought that extruder product. Already it is ready to commercialize from the industrial scale. And 3D visual market can be created, how the product can be taken by the consumers, all the things we can use the 3D visual stores, and we can study and we can do that. And if you look at our food structure is the most important, and how it is going and how it is absorbs in our body, and we created the artificial human digestive system. Here we can study glycemic index, how it is absorbs in our body. And that's what is important, food structure, because left side what we discussed right now is the ingredient processing structure creations, and how it is taking place inside the body. That is the most important. How the, suppose you increase the fiber, how the oral processing can change it. What is the interlink with our oral processing with the GI? That's what we need to understand. The food structure is the most important component when you designing the products. And global food market, I'll go very quickly what is happening, and it is a continuously is growing, and 100% spike in the all the grocery, and demand for the garlic and fresh product is continuously increasing. As per APIDA has given the very good document. For example, Indonesia needed groundnut and vegetable and fruits needed in the Middle East. Non-basmati rice is record for the Africa for present scenario. So this is the market we need to capitalize. Then we can expand our supply chain. And if you look at this very clear demonstration of here, right now what is our export level of biscuit and confectionery? 185 million, and can be increased to 350 million. I'll give the one more example of this. This is the other examples. You can see that, and functional snacks market continuously increasing, mainly for they're looking for the immune booster snacks. But here scientifically very less documents are available. For example, curcumin, very few documents are available. It's boosting the immune. But we need to do a lot of research on this to go for the health claim of immune boosting foods, and multivitamin foods are increasing. And Indian scenario, if you look at processed food, continuously, if you look at our fruits and vegetable, we are the world number 2nd, but our world presence, our world share is only 1%. So lot of scopes. And you can look at our vegetables, again 1.6%. And look at grains, we are doing the really very good in the business on this one. And next slide.
Sir,
and look at here the meat, again
sir,
very less.
Yeah.
I'm going to conclude, sir, another two slides.
Thank you.
And share, again here 18% what we spice market, we are world number 1 in the spice, and that's what it is producing. Biscuit, Europe is importing large amount of the biscuit, our presence is 0.003%. And these are the technologies going to dominate very soon, and waste utilization, IoT based technology, high pressure processing, vacuum frying, freeze drying, and salt, sugar reduction technology. These are the technologies we need to upgrade, and these are the products we need to think how to market it, mainly for plant-based diets and vitamins, omega-3 fortified, and insect foods, like a high amount of the proteins will be there from the insect. These are the products we need to think to promote our supply chain markets next. And based on that, Government of India is launched a PMFME scheme that's upgrading for the micro units, and you can visit our website, all the details has been given. IFPT is the National Technical Support Institute for implementing this scheme. Next slide. And our vision is to make India as the food factory of world. Definitely it is possible to do if you minimize the waste utilization, upgrade our technology, and upgrade our branding and marketing, packaging solutions. Definitely Indian food industry, both micro units as well as larger units, play the major role in the coming years. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Sir, thank you very much for giving such an enlightening lecture, and also show the various facets and the avenues available for farmers to explore, and also the industry to come in. There are a few questions that are emerging, but for the benefit of pooling all the questions and putting it to the speakers towards the end, it will have more meaningful kind of a deliberation. So I request you to stay with us, and with this I will move on to the next speaker. Professor Shambu Prasad is strategic management at the Institute of Rural Management, Anand. His expertise and research straddles several interdisciplinary fields such as social innovation and entrepreneurship, rural livelihood, public policies, managing producer collectives, and sustainable agriculture. He is also a member of subgroup on upscaling innovative technologies in agriculture for the 12th five-year plan, and recently a member of the expert group of Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium. You know, in the early stages of foundation during 95, foundation also, you know, was closely associated with SFAC, and we conducted several programs. So with this, you know, introduction, there are a lot of, you know, if I keep on reading, it will take much more time, and a lot of publications in his credit. And with this introduction, may I request you to kindly give your lecture. Professor Shambu Prasad.
Thanks a lot, Hariharan. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thanks a lot for this very interesting session. Just yesterday, we had the Prime Minister launch a fairly big scheme for agricultural processing. And I think this subject is attaining greater importance in the days to come. So my topic is to speak on markets, institutions, and small farmers. I do not have a presentation, but I'd like to make 4 or 5 points very briefly in the next 10 to 12 minutes. I'll be happy to take up a few questions. The first thing we would like to emphasize is that markets are increasingly becoming important for smallholders. So earlier, many smallholders could continue their ways of being through subsistence, but even their livelihoods, which are largely subsistence based in certain parts of India, is undergoing a lot of threat because even the local markets have been impacted significantly. So even to continue their livelihoods, there is a need for an engagement with the markets. Markets are important, again, if they have to conserve their biodiversity of their production systems for increased resilience. Markets will continue to play an important role, and this is something we need to recognize in the days to come. But it's important to establish first that markets are not a homogeneous entity, but we need to look at markets as a diverse set. In fact, some speakers speak about the difference between a bazaar and a market. So you have local markets, you have extremely hyper-local markets, to regional markets, to distant and export markets as well. And I think what smallholders have been facing in recent times is that the direct interface that they often have with consumers, except for the local markets, they are missing this over a period of time. And with markets playing an important element in farmers' income, the need for consumers to have a link with the diversity of markets becomes very important. And the argument that I would make is that this is not possible for smallholders just by themselves. And primarily the reason for that is that markets are inherently unequal, especially for small farmers. There's this very interesting film that was taken about a year or two back called Mandi, which captures very well. It's had a huge hit in YouTube. So it shows the story of a small farmer in Maharashtra trying to take his small aggregated produce to the mandi without knowing the rates at the mandi. And he goes along with his son, and it is captured through the eyes of the son. And there's a lot of hope that the son has that, you know, after the purchase, you know, he can buy a small toy. His wife was hoping to celebrate a local festival. But the mode of transactions that happens there, he actually ends up paying the trader for the transport costs and all of that. So this intermediation of a direct intermediation of the small farmer with certain kinds of markets is extremely unfavorable to the farmer. For one, I think even as markets have been increasing, the number of mandis have not been increasing in substantial number. Probably the new Grameen presents such an opportunity, but you need a huge amount of investments at the local level to make this happen. A good example where small farmers have made a huge difference comes from the town I am based in. And if you take the story of Amul, the successful work done through Dr. Varghese Kurian and others was that the small farmers' share of the consumer rupee has been somewhere between 70 to 85 paise for every rupee. And that's partly, largely because of the ownership of the whole value chain has been with farmer producer collectives. Now this takes a long time. It may not be possible in all kinds of commodities. And in today's circumstance, the risks of the small farmers is increasing a lot. At least in the last few years, there's been a slight change in the current year. Commodity prices have been falling significantly internationally. And also you have this situation for the farmer that they are, especially in rain-fed areas, where they are caught with interlocked markets, where in the failure, due to the failure of the extension systems, the local dealer becomes what Aniket Aga would call the merchants of knowledge. So they determine what is required, how much pesticide to be used, and so on. And they work on a certain kind of market logic, which favors sometimes a spurious pesticide with a high amount of margin, which is, of course, suboptimal for the farmer, but also suboptimal for the planet. So we have to understand that the small farmer access to markets is inherently unequal, and therefore there is a need for strong institutions to try and redress some of this balance. This need has been recognized by the Government of India much earlier, right from Mr. Manmohan Singh's famous speech in 1991, which actually led to the formation of the Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium, which was essentially saying that as markets become more integrated with global value chains, we have to have institutions that can protect the small farmers. A better shape came out when we had the farmer producer company legislation in 2002. But I think the biggest thrust happened roughly from 2010, partly due to the dynamic leadership of Pravesh Sharma as the MD SFAC. And this slowly led through a phase where since 2010 till about 2019, we've had a huge increase in the number of farmer producer companies in the country. So I think there's some interesting elements of farmer producer organizations. We can go in great detail about it, but I'll try and bring out a few features of the farmer producer organization movement. And I could share some important links if people are interested. So the first point essentially is that if you look at market access to for farmers, if you take the country as a whole, not perhaps some successful states like Tamil Nadu and possibly Gujarat, etc., the main mechanism of farmers accessing credit was through their institutional supports of the primary agricultural cooperative societies. But unfortunately, in most parts of India, these institutions have been highly ineffective, especially because of a very high element of elite capture, very small number of small and marginal farmers in the overall membership, leave alone at the boards, and hence their views, their perspectives have not been taken into account. Most policy schemes have been directed through the PACs, which has led to a huge amount of exclusion of small and marginal farmers. Therefore, having a scheme that is probably directed much more at small marginal farmers in tribal areas with women providing leadership becomes somewhat important. So we have about 8,000 odd FPOs in the country. So the good part of it is that many of these FPOs have been much more inclusive in terms of geographical spread. We don't necessarily have a concentration only in the southern or western parts of India. They've been spread in northern India, even in northeast India, and in many of the tribal belts of the country. The second is that the large number of these FPOs have had a huge amount of involvement of small and marginal farmers who finally have got a voice in the institutions that can shape their own future. There is, interestingly, as a result of this initiative, more players have become part of this ecosystem. So we have to appreciate that at one hand, we have this huge paradox in India where we are the leaders in many commodities in terms of production, but we are also the leaders in terms of farmer suicides and farm distress. So if we have to bring about a change, we need more players being part of the ecosystem. And I think there's a greater market orientation as a result of what has happened with FPOs in the last 5 to 10 years or so. However, there are serious problems with the way these institutions have been set up and with the plan that's coming up to set up another 10,000 FPOs. One of the great challenges has been that many of these institutions have been born weak and poor. They've had a very poor capital base. Very few have any substantial share capital or a certain kind of investment. They are highly underinvested. In certain schemes, there have been no support after 3 years. These FPOs have faced serious issues of what in industry terms is called ease of doing business in terms of procuring licenses, etc. And the knowledge base is still poor. So sometimes we work on too many assumptions. One in the recent scheme is this idea of one district, one product. Has it worked a lot in many parts of India? There is no evidence. What is the optimal size of an FPO? Earlier scheme worked around 800 to 1,000, but we've seen evidence of things with possible with lesser too. Too much focus on a business plan and its execution over a period of 4-5 years, whereas things are so dynamic for any farmer producer company. Getting farmers to negotiate with the market is much more important, so greater focus on business models would be much better. So the question essentially that is in front of us is, amidst all this failure of these institutional form, it's still very nascent, it requires a lot of time. Can FPOs be sustainable solutions for small and marginal farmers? So the evidence seems to suggest, and we are hoping to embark on a case study where we actually look at some of the details of this. We've done some similar kind of work called Farming Futures based on social enterprises. And I think the main point we need to appreciate is we can do a lot if we innovate differently and avoid this one size fits all. There's a lot of scope for innovation, experimentation. And I think what we need to bring is the language and the metaphors of the startup ecosystem, which is missing in the FPO space, or even to treat an FPO as a micro or small or medium MSME. And this would require much more effort in terms of building the ecosystem. So rather than the conventional emphasis on trying to aggregate inputs, which has been the business model for many FPOs, I think there's some interesting examples, and I'd like to mention a few of them before I close, where people have done things very differently. So I will mention 4 of them. The first is an interesting project run as part of the Andhra Pradesh drought mitigation program, where some of the civil society organizations have...
So we will take 3 more minutes. So
Yes.
Yeah.
So have tried focusing on setting up what are known as click centers, with the FPO as the critical institution around interventions of extension and so on. The collective provision of critical irrigation has made a huge difference. The work of the Sitlingi Organic Farmers Association in remote Dharmapuri, where exploitation by middlemen was high, the provision of a startup grant of rupees 6 lakhs and the enabling of soft loans to the access of rupees 30 lakhs has made these organic farmers to reach substantial scale and sustainability, not just financially, but also from an ecological point of view. Similar examples in Nagpur, where a direct consumer marketing through farmer markets has happened. And the key thing, often the FPOs, by just bringing about a certain amount of transparency in the system, can actually enable a better connect with farmers markets. And during COVID, we see many examples where FPOs have reached out directly to the markets. And an interesting case where in Odisha, where one of the FPOs, which seemed to be doing well and had a local buyer for some of their eucalyptus plantations, etc., suffered a major setback after the BILT, the local buyer, actually stopped procurement. and then one of the facilitating organizations work together to get them towards new markets. And importantly, recognize that the diversification of produce was important. Farmers produce many things and they need something to engage them throughout the year. Therefore, working on multiple commodities is important, even if one commodity has a greater emphasis with the market. And providing greater incentive to local entrepreneurs made this particular kind of change. So to conclude, I would suggest that it is important to design FPOs very differently, and this requires innovation, incubation, and establishing robust institutions before we can start looking at impact. COVID presents an opportunity to rethink the food system towards greater focus on nutrition because of greater awareness and demand for safe food. We heard that from the previous speaker as well. This demand for vocal for local, but importantly, we need to shift towards greater processing at the local level. And we've seen examples where value addition through grading, we've been involved in the development of a community level millet grader. So these kinds of things can make a huge difference. Just to give you some statistics, for every 1,000 acres of net sown area, about 5.7 industries are in the irrigated parts of the country and only 2.5 in the rain-fed areas. And I think if we have to try and make a greater focus where large number of smallholder farmers are there is a gap in food processing, but also for local consumption for nutritious food, where some amount of local addition, low economies of scale, but highly nutritious and organic food can work around.
Yeah.
And I think reworking the systems by embedding sustainability can be the key. And we speak of sustainability not just a financial one, but those of the institutions of small farmers as well as that of the planet.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for touching up the key dimensions in this particular dimension, especially as also stressing the point of ensuring sustainability of the FPOs and so on. And I also request you to be with us so that we can take up the questions later. With this, let us move to the next speaker, Mr. Gagandeep Singh Bedi, who is currently serving as the Secretary, Department of Agriculture, Government of Tamil Nadu. And if I read through his biodata, it's it's really charging. He's a IAS officer with several feathers on his cap. He was initially selected for the Indian Engineering Services and posted in the Indian Railways, and later also selected for the IAS and allotted to Tamil Nadu cadre. It is, we used to hear about him from a very, from different positions he used to held, and wherever he was serving, he made a very indelible mark. He served as the district collector Madurai, Kanyakumari, and Kadalur district. He also the in the Tamil Nadu Water Supply and Drainage Board also he served as the chair, and he was the posting as secretary to government in the agriculture department. In whichever domain he is working, he has shown his excellent performance in all the postings and received various honors. In 2004, he received the special award from the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu for his meritorious disposal of community petitions in Kadalur district. In 2006, he was awarded the Best Collector Award by the Indian Red Cross Society for the commendable work to rescue the people and relief operations during the tsunami and floods in the district Kadalur. At that time, he was serving the Kadalur district. He was also awarded the State Best Practices Award on the 15th August 2013 for effective implementation of Amma Tittam to redress the differences of people through the revenue department. Today, he is with us to talk about post-harvest markets and supply chain. I have participated in some of the meetings where I was able to hear him. His dynamic leadership is very much required to turn around the agriculture more productive and to the best the farmers can get through. So with this small introduction, may I request you to kindly deliver your talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. And of course, this biodata, I think you're from the internet. I am now, of course, APC and Principal Secretary Agriculture, and previous post was I am here for the last 4 years in this department, and previously I was Secretary Rural Development and Panchayati Raj also for about 2 years. And of course, I have held various other primary sectors as Secretary, including the Secretary Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries also. The subject on which I have been asked to speak about is agri-business and supply chain system with the Tamil Nadu's perspective. It's a very relevant subject because I feel that today, if the farmer is left just to the farming, he will not have his income that he can get. In order to ensure that the farmer gets a higher income, he has also to be supplemented with assistance, hand-holding guidance in terms of post-harvest management, supply chain, etc., marketing, etc., so that his income increases. Now, when you talk about the Tamil Nadu's perspective, let me also say that Tamil Nadu, though it is a progressive state, but as far as income is concerned, if you go by the statistics that we have, Tamil Nadu's income, per capita income, is about 6,980 rupees, which is 16th in the country, and the highest, of course, higher than the already average. But we always say that our farmers can go higher, and of course the highest income is 18,000 rupees of Punjab, and Haryana is 14,434 rupees. Going by the Ministry of Statistics site, based in 2016, that agriculture statistics has it last. So let me just actually try to do a screen sharing and make a presentation. Okay. So I was saying that the farmers have not just to be the producers, they have also to be given hand holding in terms of post-harvest and agri-processing. And we have had a wonderful presentation initially by our Dr. Anandharamakrishnan. He is my good friend and also director of Indian Institute of Food Processing Technology. And also a very learned presentation by our professor from IRMA, Anand, the institute which has really done a lot of good service to our country, which has produced so many agri-business entrepreneurs. So it was very heartful to listen to both the eminent speakers. Now the point is that this is the broad channel. Let me not go to the theory. I will actually mostly concentrate on Tamil Nadu's strength and what we are doing in terms of agri-business and supply chains. I have got about 37 slides with me. I'll try to finish off my presentation in about 20-23 minutes. 20 minutes. I hope I'll be able to finish by that time. See, Tamil Nadu is, of course, all these aspects are relevant because Tamil Nadu has got a good farming system. We have got a very good infrastructure. We have also farmers who are willing, and as well as officials, government machinery, which is willing to give improved ICT tools in extension. Now, what is the Tamil Nadu status? As of course, many of you are from Tamil Nadu, you know that Tamil Nadu is a progressive state. We have exceeded 100 lakh metric tons 6 times in the last 8 years. And this year also, in fact, we are happy to inform that in the Kharif crop, our production in the Delta area has been the highest in the last 30 years. In fact, we have already crossed 4 lakh acres. We have got Krishi Karman Award. Tamil Nadu is the first in the country at present in terms of implementation of micro-irrigation. In fact, last year, Tamil Nadu spent almost 1,100 crores in micro-irrigation. Tamil Nadu has also been, the point I'm trying to say that Dr. Shambu Prasad, he had mentioned about the farmer producer organizations. Tamil Nadu has actually in the last 4 years silently been focusing on farmers collectives. I'll come to that again. Now, of course, just to mention that our need, as I told, is to shift from production and productivity to the marketing. And so what we have to do basically in the entire agri supply chain is the state has to do, and which has been doing actually in the last 3-4 years. We have been focusing on on number one, the back end services, that is the collective farming, the farmer producer organizations and cooperatives. So Dr. Shambu Prasad was telling about the focus on FPOs, and he is also a member of the SFAC national level think tank, and Tamil Nadu has its own system of forming effective farmer producer organization, and in the last about 3 years we have formed about 200 and odd farmer producer organizations, which are besides the FPOs which have been formed by the SFAC or by the NABARD. So the extension machinery has actually formed silently the FPO network as in order to strengthen the back end system of farming system. I have always been saying in various seminars, my dear friends, that say if the previous decade, previous 2 decades belong to the self-help groups, that is the SHGs amongst the women, they actually created a lot of buoyancy in the society, in the rural economy. The present decade and the next decade will be the decade of the farmer producer organization. I very strongly believe in it, and you please keep in the mind the success in our primary sector in the future will be led by the farmer producer organizations. And Tamil Nadu government has been silently working in this regard. I have a slide for that. I'll tell about that point. The second point is Tamil Nadu has been in forefront in value addition. Value addition, as Dr. Anandharamakrishnan also focused on, is very important. As I've also told in the beginning, we need to aggrandize the income of the farmers through value addition. We have got 2 strategies for that. I'll focus on that. And the third is the front end in terms of marketing, and we have been following Government of India's vision in this regard and have also our added state vision in this regard. So these are the 3 aspects on which my next about 25 slides will be based upon. Now, of course, there are various schemes over here, which I have got the slide, so I'll not spend much time on this. Let me come to the backward linkages. Now, this is the point which I want to focus upon, and also maybe inform you what we have been silently doing. Now, my dear friends, that as I have already told, I am again repeating, I have a very strong belief in the strength of the farmer producer organizations. The farmer producer organizations, through this network, we are able to empower farmers, we are able to collectivize the farmers, and then we are also able to train them in post-harvesting methodologies and ways and means to increase their income. Now, what we have been doing is Tamil Nadu government has been giving 100 crore rupees per year on a scheme called collective farming. Under this scheme of collective farming, so far in the last 3 years, if you see number 1 over here, 6 lakh farmers we have handheld. We form every 20 farmers, we form into an organization called Farmer Interest Group, FIG. 20 farmers who are there in a village, who should be small and marginal farmers, we have been forming into a small farmer interest group. We ask these farmers interest, of course this we have picked up from the good points from NABARD, from SFAC and other things, but we have institutionalized this, and in fact the Government of India's present FPO policy also took our collective farming policy into consideration while giving their guidelines in this regard. So these 20 farmers are all farmers who are in the close vicinity of each other. We encourage them to contribute, put their money in a bank, do common cultivation, etc. Then such 5 such groups. I have written on the top in the right side, I have 5 such groups, 5 FAGs are organized to form a farmer-producer group. That is, 100 farmers form one farmer-producer group. One farmer-producer group consists of 100 small and marginal farmers. They also meet either together or the representative meets once in a month. What do? They do the common, since they are together, they go for common purchase of inputs before the agricultural season. They go for the common sale of their agricultural produce in the post-harvest season. They get lower prices for purchase, they get higher prices for marketing. So we are able to collectivize the farmers. And once 1 year they have been together, this is the state government input over here. So we give to every FPG rupees 5 lakh. We don't give them cash. We say for your collective usage, you go and buy machinery for this 5 lakh rupees. You want you to go for a power tiller and a rotavator or any other or a weeder, etc. Do go ahead within 5 lakh. If you want to buy a tractor which is costly or over and above this, contribute etc. Buy it. Then share with each other. And the time when you don't need it, you lend it out in the village and get income into the group, etc. My dear friends, in the last 3 years, the government of Tamil Nadu has pumped in 300 crores into this, and we have actually empowered the small and marginal farmers with a lot of machinery, thousands of tractors, power tillers, rotavators, weeders, transplanters, etc., etc. Sometimes 4 or 5 farmer producer groups have also combined together and bought harvesters also in this regard. So this is how we are empowering the farmer producer organizations. We are very happy about it. And then of course, the farmer producer groups, 10 such farmer producer groups or 8 to 10 such farmer producer groups form an FPO. The good FPOs, we don't form every FPG into an FPO. The good FPGs who are geographic close to each other, we form an FPO. We have formed about 201 FPOs whom we help through our RKVY money, and now we also plan to help the FPOs already formed through Government of India, the 10K FPO scheme also. This is, I just want to tell you, most of you are in the agricultural sector. This is what Tamil Nadu government has been silently doing. Ministry of Agriculture is aware, but I am sure this issue will bring a lot of revolution in the farming system. Now coming to the value chain, this is the back end. In value chain, I said we are having 2 aspects. Number one is the supply chain management system. The second is the value addition. Supply chain management system, Tamil Nadu government has actually invested 482 crore rupees in the last 2 years. What we have done is all the fruits and vegetable producing districts, 10 districts, we have identified. Over there, we have actually put infrastructure. We got money from NABARD and we have put infrastructure for processing fruits and vegetables. Now, we have put cleaning, grading machineries, etc., but we do not operate it ourselves. We have handed it over to the farmer producer organization. We bid amongst them and we only take nominal rent from them. Whoever gives the rent, maximum rent, that we give it to them. Infrastructure is free for them. They then take fruits and vegetables, process it, put it in cold storage. When the market is good, then they sell it off to the market. This give to say Palamuduri Chole or Amazon or Udan or other supply chain. So they are able to pay off farmers better. They are themselves able to make the profits because they process it there itself. I've got a small video of about 1 or 2 minutes. After a few slides, maybe I'll show it to you. So we are processing about 650 metric ton as of now. We plan to increase it. We are going for another 100 crore rupees investment also in this, and all run by the farmer producer organization. This is called supply chain management. Now, what is there in most of the states? In most of the states, fruits and vegetables, the farmer grows, that the trader gets it at his farm gate level at prices of his choice and sells it with a huge market to the people. Now, we have made a system where we make FPOs buy from them in these 10 districts. They themselves process it and sell it at a time of their choice, because in each primary processing center we have got cold storages where they can store them till they get a good price in this. So this is the value chain that we are having. So this is, for example, maybe I'll come. We not have sound, but we will have a video. I'll tell you what. Sorry.
Sir, could you please enable share audio from your system?
Okay, let me just try if I can do this. Share audio. Let me see where does it. Where do you get share audio? Or share computer sound? Okay, fine. Yeah.
Root vegetables like carrot, beetroot and potatoes can now be cleaned and hygienically washed, sorted, graded and packed using automatic processing machines by farmers in the PPCs established in the district. Likewise, vegetables like tomato, brinjal and lady's fingers can be washed and processed in PPCs in Dharmapuri district such as in Palakkad.
Is the sound coming?
Yes, sir, the sound is coming.
Vegetables can also be dehydrated and value added using vegetable dehydration unit which will reduce wastage and loss to the farmer. In Dharmapuri PPC, processing machinery facilities are made available to process tamarind and tamarind can be packed in hygienic condition with minimum labor. Red chilies can now be processed by cutting the stems and further sorted using laser color sorter machine. The processed red chilies can be packed using packing machine which has been made available in this PPC. Similar facilities are also provided at Ramanathapuram district. Lemon can be washed, cleaned and graded in the PPC established in Tirunelveli district. Processing machinery lines have been installed to process vegetables like cauliflower, banana, etc. at Kambam PPC in Theni district. Moringa is grown in a large quantity in Theni and Dindigul districts. Moringa can be processed by washing, drying and powder making through machines which are made available at Theni PPC as shown here. Onion processing machinery lines have also been established in Trichy district to process onions.
In fact, IFPT has done a very good job in terms of processing, etc. Okay, so this is what I had put. Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Yeah.
And was my video then sound? Did it come through?
It's fine. It's good.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we have done that, and this is about the supply chain management. That is what we have done. We are going to do more for this. This is Tamil Nadu's perspective. Second very important value addition is, in fact, wherein we need more and more of inputs from female institutions like IFPT and other institutions is, in every village we are encouraging farmers to put up value addition machinery. We are giving, say, 10 lakh rupees to the farmers to put it up there. We want them to put their own 1 or 2 lakh rupees as their inputs, and we are putting value additions. What can be there? Like groundnut decorticators, oil expellers, bottle units, dehuskers, destoners, graders. You see the photographs? So, for example, in the bottom right side, that's a cold pressing gingerly oil making machine. The same machine can be used for coconut cold pressed machine. Extremely popular. The people actually love to get their projects. We have actually silently put in the last 2 years 173 such value addition units across the state, all run by the farmers, and we want to do it more. This is the future. This is the future. The future is let the farmers have their own value addition units right in their very villages, and these all units cost 10 to 12 lakhs, and the farmers run it. Farmers produce it, farmers manufacture it, we help them in their marketing. This is another animal feed making unit and value addition sales, etc. So we help the farmers in various infrastructure, we give them financing, etc. for value addition, and this is our vision for the future. Okay, the last part of my slide is that we have also so we have told about how we have helped in the back end, how we have helped in the value addition in terms of supply chain management and value addition units. The last point is we have to also help our farmers in the marketing techniques. So we have, of course, this portion is a little longer. We have, of course, regulated markets. We have also Tamil Nadu, as you know, it has also got its farmers markets or Udavar Sundays. We have actually focused on they were actually quite successful during the COVID lockdown period. Of course, we have also been encouraging e-trading, and this is e-trading of Manjal in Erode. And e-NAM has been silently being pushed through in Tamil Nadu, and we have already done e-trading to the tune of 616 crores since the inception in Tamil Nadu. And we have put up a lot of cold storages. Every year, Tamil Nadu government is spending about 200 crore rupees in terms of marketing infrastructure for storage. And now this year, government has gone for one more step. We have announced introduction of agri-business market complexes on the highway sides. We have 5 districts in Delta, 5 in non-Delta districts. Delta land being lower, we have put 3 crore. So there we'll have a shop for the farmers, FPO, to sell their vegetables and fruits. At the same time, a shop for the fertilizers and other inputs sale. And another shop for the machinery repair, etc., and sale, etc., and agri clinics, etc. So all things for the farmers, one in the roadside outside the city. So these we are putting up in Delta districts and similarly non-Delta districts, all part of our value addition in this regard. We have also sanctioned 100 crore rupees for augmenting our cold storage over and above our 13,500 metric tons of cold storage. And Tamil Nadu has come up with a food processing policy where we are encouraging. We have also announced for 8 food processing parks to be set up this year. We are being delayed because of the COVID issues, but we are in the process. We have got the lands. We are in the process of going for the tendering for putting up infrastructure so that we can have value addition units in 8 districts. Maybe I'll come to that directly. And of course, these are the various incentives for the food parks. We incentivize the industry through our food processing policy in terms of land, water, power, labor, interest subsidy, etc. We have ease of doing business over here. All the slide I can always send it to whoever wants. I don't want to exceed my timing in this regard. So as I told, we are having 8 food processing parks being set up in Kadlur, Salem, Dindigul, Krishnagiri, Madurai, Tiruvannamalai, and Dindivalam. And one mega park is coming up in Gangaikondan in Tirunelveli. We have another 8 processing parks. We are planning to set it up this year. Again, we have announced if Government of India comes to its policy, we will combine with that and go ahead for that. So I think this I have already told what we are doing for that. So what the vision is that we want to process our fruits and vegetables to the tune of at least 10%, so as to prevent the wastage of fruits and vegetables. We want to set up food parks in all the districts. We want to set up primary processing centers like the one I have showed you in the video for every cluster of 10 to 20 villages. Government of India has come up with a beautiful scheme of promotion of micro food enterprises. We will set up around 10,000 and odd such centers in the next 5 years. Contract farming, Tamil Nadu was the first state to start it, and we are very enthusiastic about it. This month I have told we should actually we are going to go ahead for contract farming, signing agreements with with at least a few between the farmers and a few industries. Maybe we'll be the first ones in the country to do so after the new Contract Farming Act has come. And of course, that is the act is the Farmer Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance Services. Government of India Act is actually also a lot of thought they have taken from State Government Act, and now Government of India Act prevails. We are also focusing on export promotion. So this way, dear friends, if you go for the overall value addition change, if the focus of farmers, governments, NGOs, think tank, all is there on not only ensuring the agriculture operations, but also collectivizing the farmers as well as post-harvest management techniques and better marketing. I'm sure the farmers' income will increase. Tamil Nadu is doing well in agriculture, but we have a long way to go, and we will need support and ideas from all of you. Thank you so much.
Sir, thank you very much. It's a pleasure listening to you. And you covered various dimensions right from the back end to the front end and the policies and so on. With the announcement of by the special schemes for agriculture infrastructure by the Prime Minister, flagging off the first agriculture refrigerated train and so on, I think it will be easy for us to achieve all these things. Foundation is also very keen to work closely with your group so that, we can get the results quickly to the farming community and also get the consumers to get the benefits and so on. Thank you very much once again for being with us. Please stay on. We will take up the questions later. And with this, I am moving to the next speaker, Dr. Nikita Gopal. She is a principal scientist with the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Central Institute of Fisheries Technology, ICAR CIFT, Kochi, Kerala, India, and has been working in the field of fisheries for the past 22 years. Her areas of work have been trades and markets, socio-economic aspects, evaluation of fisheries sector, small-scale fisheries, marketing, post-harvest activities, and so on. She is a fellow of Society of Fisheries Technologies of India and senior leader of the gender in aquaculture and fisheries. One important area one has to really look at, section of the Asian Fisheries Society. She has received the AFS Gold Medal 2019, AFS Merit Award, and the AFS Certificates of Appreciation in 2016 for her contribution to gender research and her organizational role in the GAF events at the Triennial Asian Fisheries and Aquacultural Forum of the AFS. In association with NACA, she has worked on an international project on gender in aquaculture in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, and currently coordinating an international project on gender and seaweed value chain operational in India and Kenya. We are also happy to inform about the Fish for All Research Center of MSSRF at Nagapatnam. Dr. Velvidi is heading that center, and we are also closely working in these dimensions. With this introduction, may I request you, madam, to kindly give your lecture.
Thank you all. Just give me a minute to share the presentation. Is the presentation visible?
Yes.
At the outset, I would like to thank the Foundation for the kind invitation. I'm deeply honored to be speaking after such eminent speakers that we've just heard. My talk will briefly situate the women in post-harvest. That's the area that I've been asked to speak on. I'll present a few thoughts on why we should be looking at gender and what needs to be done. Since many of the audience is not familiar with fisheries, I'll briefly tell about how we look at fisheries from the resource point of view. We have marine, that is related to the sea, and inland to the other water bodies in the country like the lakes, reservoirs, rivers, ponds, etc. And based on the type of fishing, we have capture, where we actually harvest what is available, and culture, that is aquaculture, where we raise a crop. And on scale of operation, we can divide it broadly into small scale and large scale. Small scale is similar, like small scale in various parts of the world, but the large scale commercial fishing in India cannot be compared with the industrial fleet that operates in other countries. So in comparison, they are small scale. And we produce about 12 million tons, that's 6% of the world's fish production. So we are a major force in fisheries in the world itself. Now, where are the women situated? The first picture that comes into mind when we talk of women in fisheries is the fish vendor who goes door to door with her wares on her head, often haggling with her customers. But is that all? Is that all where women are? Let us just see. Traditionally, if you look at fisheries, it has a man's face, but women's efforts also are behind every bite of fish that we eat. Because the fish production would not be possible because she manages the household, allowing the men to go fishing. She also engages in several pre-harvest activities like fabricating and mending nets. Those activities also women are involved. Also, fish processing and delivery to consumers would not function, as women do much of the processing that is there in the sector, as well as they take up a lot of marketing activities, bringing the fish to the consumer. And also, households would have less access to fish and food if women had not been in the sector. If you look at figures, if you look at the capture fishery sector alone, FAO has estimated that there are 120 million people engaged in the sector. 50% of them are women. And the primary sector alone, that is for catching fish, if there are around 60 million people, Around 14% of that in marine sector and 20% in inland sector are actually fisher women. So women actually catch a lot of fish as well, though it is unreported, and much of it goes into household for household consumption. So it mostly goes unreported and it is hidden and invisible. They dominate post-harvest. Post-harvest again includes very diverse activities, and if you look at the subsectoral level in post-harvest, about 90% of all processing is done by women and 60% of all marketing, especially in Asia and Africa, are done by women. So post-harvest fisheries actually comprises all activities, as we know, just like in other agriculture sector. It's right from the fish is landed or harvested until it is consumed. And basically it embraces all cultural, environmental, economic, institutional, and other aspects of production and distribution of fish. So once fish is landed in the fish landing centers or harbors or landing places or beaches, it can go directly to the consumer, or it can be taken up by different scales of trading, small scale or large scale, and can be marketed all over the country. It can be processed both by traditional means or by modern commercial industrial setups, or it can be repurposed for feed or for livestock or extraction of oil, etc. So the uses are multifarious. When we look at women in post-harvest, let us just briefly look at it from the resource and technology point of view. Earlier, when the fish was landed in near fishing villages on beaches, when our crafts or fishing vessels were smaller, women had better access to work and the resources for multiple uses, because they could just go off from their homes, finish off their housework, go to the nearby beach and collect the fish either for processing or for household consumption or for marketing. But what has happened is, and we know that women have been traditionally involved in several shore-based activities. They were there for sorting the catch. They used to market it to interior areas. They used to process the excess catch by using traditional methods of drying or smoking or fermenting. And so they also had enough fish to feed the family, because that is usually the practice that a portion of what they catch daily is taken home for consumption. But when when changes took place in how fish is harvested, like bigger vessels came, mechanization took place, and the landings of fish shifted to harbors and big landing centers. So this is far away from the fishing villages, and this is actually brought about change, if you can call it a tenure right, not in the strict sense of the term, but that is access to their resource. So that was lost because they could no longer go from their homes to the beach and collect the fish. They had to actually travel long distances, which sometimes was not possible. So several of them dropped from marketing, and now it is much more difficult for accessing fish for marketing. So their access to far off harbors and landing centers, as I said, has become very difficult. And they have overcome this by a certain ingenuity by pooling their resources. So they hire a vehicle and they go together for procuring fish from the harbors, and they come back to different points of sale using that same vehicle. So this was one way of reducing costs and sharing the risks. They are now basically seen the fringes of marketing. There are no large-scale traders who are women. It's mostly the men, because they are the resource credit and capital resource people. So we don't really find large-scale traders as women, and much of the auctioning is done by men as well. Very few women are there even in the auctioning. Now, women also depend on spaces in markets, but traditional marketing spaces are also being lost due to new players coming to control the markets, and markets are growing, and when the profits from the markets are increasing, and when the local governments and the local bodies are actually auctioning the markets, it goes to bigger players and they decide where who can sit. So the women don't get the vantage points that they usually had earlier, and now they are in the fringes of established markets as well. So what are the other activities in post-harvest that women are involved? So they were always doing traditional processing activities like sun drying, because when there used to be a glut during seasons, when fishing is basically, captive fisheries is a play with the nature. So where sometimes you get a lot of fish and sometimes you don't. So when there is glut in the in fishing, so the excess fish that couldn't be marketed used to be actually processed in various ways. One of the simplest form was sun drying it and storing it. So they either used it for household consumption, or they sold the dried fish during lean seasons. Of course, several things can be told about the unhygienic practices in sun drying, especially when it is dried on beaches, and simple technologies can be introduced, like rack drying, which is a very old technology, but using local material, you can make simple racks and you can actually dry on them. And of course, we have solar dryers of various kinds, which can be popularized using targeted schemes. We have a huge scheme on the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Samriddhi Yojana, which the details of implementation of which are still being worked out, and based on if there are certain suitable schemes, we can popularize such technologies. Women in Northeast, basically, they do a lot of fermenting of fish, which can be stored for long periods of time. Smoking is practiced widely in states like Odisha, West Bengal, and some parts of Andhra Pradesh. They either they do it in thatched huts over firewood platforms, or they use mats or bamboo for smoking. Besides, of course, you must have heard of masmeen, that is smoked tuna, which is a famous product from Lakshadweep, which is also exported. So basically, these traditional processing activities have dual advantage. It is a source of income because they can sell the product during lean season, but it also ensures household food and nutritional security because these products are very nutrient dense, and this goes into several food preparations in households, in not just in the coastal communities as well as in inland areas. Dried shrimp is added to vegetable curries, or fermented fish is added to various curries. And Bombay duck, if you see in Gujarat, which is dried, that is powdered and used in various curries. So this actually, the protein and micronutrient that is available in this processed processed fish actually gets into the, adds to the household food and nutritional security. And if you look at the commercial seafood processing, which brings about 46,000 crores as foreign exchange to the country, we export around 1.38 million tons of seafood from the country. The established seafood processing is almost entirely export oriented. Much of it, I mean, almost all of it goes for exports. So this entire contribution, if I may say so, is contributed by women, because the entire floor level activity in seafood processing is done by women. The dexterity, the skill that is required to process shrimp or fish or other mollusks and cephalopods, women are only employed in this sector. But still, even though it requires a lot of dexterity and skill, they're categorized under unskilled workers, and they're paid basically on piece rate. So how much, depending on how many kilos they process, that is how much they are paid on. So if they're so predominant in post-harvest, we have seen they're there in marketing, they're there in all sorts of processing, they're there in commercial processing. So why are they still so invisible? That is basically they have very little say over the benefits available to them and receive very little support in their fish work. On the inaugural day of the virtual consultation, Madam Meena Swaminathan had mentioned, in the video she had mentioned that they do bulk of the economic work, but they don't get bulk of the economic returns. And I think that is what underlines the undervaluation and non-recognition of women's work in fisheries sector as well. This may be true for agriculture also. It is true for agriculture also, but more so in fisheries. Their practical and long-term needs are often neglected, and they have weak bargaining power to change the situation due to historical gender biases normalized in workplace and in society. Historically, there are gender biases in society, and these have been normalized both in their workplaces as well. So this, what we don't realize is this gender inequality actually affects food and financial security. It affects their personal safety. It affects family nutrition and also stability of whole communities, because fisherwomen actually are the backbone of the fishing communities. This is over the years worsening because industry experiences show this, because there is pressure to minimize labor costs. There is leaning towards fishing and aquaculture practices that degrade the environment and fish stock. So all this is sort of indirectly affecting the fisherwomen who are caught up in the vicious circle. Work is not considered work in the economic sense, because you know, though they bring in money, it is for the family and it goes into household expenditure, and it is not really in the economic sense, it is not considered as work. It's just considered as an extension of their household responsibilities. So for instance, if a woman feeds the fingerlings in the pond, household pond, it is just considered her an extension of a nurturing role. If what we don't realize is if we had to actually employ a labor for that, it would actually cost money. So she is actually contributing her unpaid family labor, and it should be considered as a factor of productivity. That is not considered. So similar as other activities that she's doing, all the processing activities that she does, whether it is sun drying or fermenting or smoking, all that is actually economic activity. It is bringing in income to the household. If it's not bringing income to the household, at least it is ensuring that nutrition of the family is ensured. So it is actually economic work, and that is how it should be seen as. So this lack of recognition of her work and her workplace results in workplace challenges. Those workplace challenges also are going unrecognized, because markets, if you look at fish markets, that is the if we make a lot of noise in the class, the teacher used to say, is it a fish market? So that sort of sums up how a fish market functions. It's chaotic, to say the least. It is unhygienic, and women often even lack basic facilities. We have markets which don't even have toilets. And compared to men, women selling similar fish often receive lower prices. This is something that we have noticed. The expectation here is that women should be satisfied that they're at least having an employment, and what they're selling, what they're getting for their fish is just about enough. And women vendors, as I said earlier, also face increasing competition from men. They face increasing competition from large companies and also from other women, obviously. And working in inadequate processing, drying and fish handling spaces without access to clean water, they lack political power to improve occupational conditions. This was mentioned in the other two presentations. In Dr. Prasad's presentation also, he mentioned that women are not having any voices in the in institutions which matter. So this is very, very obvious even in fisheries. And the building of modern markets, offices and apartments is squeezing fisherwomen out of their former vending sites, with newer spaces often rented out to bigger, predominantly male operators. We've seen this in several places, especially in Mumbai and all. There's a long-going battle going on, because in spaces where traditionally fisherwomen have been selling fish, they have been asked not to. They're slowly being moved away from those spaces, citing various reasons. Either it's an expansion of the road, or construction of an apartment where they don't want fish to be sold. So these things are sort of taken as normal, and they don't realize that it is affecting the life and livelihoods of several people involved in the sector. Safety at work is another serious concern. The right to work actually ensures safety at work, but it is not. This is a very this is a topic that is not at all discussed in fisheries. And for instance, the women dry fish traders in Andhra, they travel long distances. They go to Odisha for procuring their fish, and they've told that they actually face a lot of they're worried about their safety, and sometimes they don't sleep overnight because of this worry. Women selling fresh fish are not allowed to use public transport. This is a common phenomenon in many states. So much so that in Kerala, in 2 districts, they had to actually bring in, the fisheries department had to bring in special buses for these fisherwomen vendors to travel. So they have been pushed and jostled out. We have seen this. This is something that we commonly notice. Then women selling in markets also face abuse, both physical and verbal. We had a huge public hearing a couple of years back in Trivandrum, where around 500 fish vendors, they had come and they had spoken about the abuse that they face. It was shocking that it was not even verbal. Several of them had faced physical abuse as well. Women in seafood industry, if you see, it is the work environment is such that they have to work for long hours in cold conditions, and there is a lot of physical discomfort. The import standards require that the workers have to have health checkups regularly. We have to see whether these are being implemented. That is a question. And also wages are piece rate, and they depend on the volume process. So this can be exploitative at in some cases. And the involvement of women in decision making is very important, and which is not there. This is not just a phenomenon that we see in India. It is globally, it is same. There was a huge study in the European Union, and they also have found that in decision making at the higher echelons of the seafood processing industry, there are very few women, and it is the lower level that women dominate. So participation, as we also know, can be constrained by social, cultural factors prevalent in society. There may be laws that are discriminatory. For instance, in Japan, countries like Japan, they are not even considered fisherwomen when they want to apply for membership in cooperatives. So that situation is not there in India. Thankfully, we have fisherwomen cooperatives in the fishery sector as well. Tenure rights are not clear, and women's rights will be the first to go when which we saw when the access of to fish is being lost when fishing became mechanized. So those rights, traditional rights that women had, they will be the first to go when changes take place in the system. Also, access to capital is problematic as schemes tend to be myopic in its vision, because how do we bring in the whole gamut of activities under the schemes? We are talking of SHGs, but we're still talking of SHGs where they're doing, they're expected to do a traditional type of work when we talk of alternative livelihoods. Why can't we talk, why can't they be entrepreneurs? So why are we not talking at that level? I've been working with groups for a very long time, so that's the feeling that I get. Why should we still restrict to these activities, and why can't we go beyond that? And policies and investments also tend to be gender blind, because generally when a policy is made, we don't look at the differential impacts. We just make a policy and then work out the different programs and schemes under it. So globally also, if you see, policies only have now begun adding gender equality into instruments. We saw that in SDGs, of course, and then in the small scale fisheries guidelines of the FAO, gender equality is very specifically mentioned. The oldest of the instruments in fishing was the Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries, which does not mention women and gender anywhere. SDG 14 also, which talks of conservation and sustainability of aquatic resources, does not reference SDG 5, that is gender equality. When the policy for increasing exports, modernization, intensification of production and establishment of offshore farming discussions take place, gender is not taken into account, so that we have seen, and this all results in women being left without work, skills and assets, because their skills and assets are not upgraded to adapt to these changes.
Madam, another 3 minutes we will take.
Yeah. There is lack of sex disaggregated data. This was also mentioned in the sessions that was held on 8th, because there are huge data gaps, which actually that's where we don't realize that women are not are undervalued and unrecognized. So in 2016, FAO Fisheries and Aquaculture Employment Statistics were broken out by sex for the first time. And from 2009 to 14, only 27% of FAO members reported sex differentiated employment data for fisheries, and only 33% reported them for aquaculture. So we really don't know where the women are situated, because there is no recording of data on what women do in the sector. So the pandemic also has brought in a separate set of questions, because livelihoods have been affected, and when we're talking of revival of the sector, we're talking of revival of fishing. But what about the fisherwomen livelihoods? What will happen to that? And the new normals that the COVID has brought in, that restriction in movement, restriction in number of people in harbors and landing centers, restriction of number of people in markets, how will they impact women's work? So that has not been taken into consideration. And there was as we are working with the women seaweed farmers in Ramanathapuram district, and though initially they did not let us know this, but over time they have opened up and told that there is increased domestic violence and increased stress, because now all the family members are at home and they have to constantly be attended to, especially the sick and elderly and the children. So what do we actually do? So the understanding that fish sector will win when women's contributions are valued, that is fundamentally what we have to understand. And gender blind policies and data undermine women's contribution, and society and environment benefit when women are employed and empowered. So these are the 3 things that take home points that I would like to give. And we at GAF, the Gender and Aquaculture and Fisheries section, we feel that we have to count women to make them visible. We have to increase funding to gender. That is another issue, because after almost 30 years of informal work, we got our first funded project last year. So funding to gender, and not just projects, but actually the type of work that Bedi sir mentioned. If we have such targeted projects that can be done at the grassroots level, at the village level, that will be very useful. And also support women's empowerment and collaborate on gender. There are a lot of people working on gender all over, whether they're practitioners or civil society organizations or foundations like yours. So we can actually collaborate on work in gender. And some of the initiatives that work that I've been involved.
I request you to close it within a minute. Yeah.
My last slide, please.
Yeah.
The CFT initiatives, some of it, which is my work, because I've been working with women and men's groups for improvement of traditional methods for value addition in fisheries. And when we talk of SHGs, I think one important thing that we miss out is the group dynamics. Unless the group dynamics is positive, we really cannot work in groups. Why are so many SHGs, why are so many cooperatives not functional? Is because there is no there is lack of clarity on what you have to do, and there is lack of cohesion among members in the group. So that is very, very important. We've out of two failures, now we have worked with another group of fisherwomen and men in harvesting clam, that is black clam, or the photograph that you see. So we have actually improved the traditional method of processing. We have brought in small machinery, which can ergonomically design machinery, which is similar to what they have been using, but still improved versions of that, where labor, the drudgery is reduced, as well as the time in processing clam is reduced. So we have actually, that was the latest work that we have done. The unit has been, that unit is already functional. So we also do market studies and test marketing for the groups that we have worked with, and we also have a business incubation unit in our institute, which handholds entrepreneurs and incubates them here. They can come here, be here, incubate with us, look at our technologies, see what technology they can actually take, product that they can take out, and we help them in test marketing their product from here itself, so they can incubate with us. So we have an agribusiness incubation facility here in the institute. Since we work on post-harvest technologies, so we have that here. So these are the CFT initiatives, and thank you for the invitation, and thank you for allowing me.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much for detailing the various problems faced by the women involved in fisheries, and how we can, we have to go a long way in addressing all these issues, and certainly with people like you, we can certainly address that. With this, now we will go to the question answer session. We are exceeding the time limit. So I request Rangalakshmi to post the questions which came in this chat box to speaker by speaker. I will be grateful if all the speakers can address those.
Thank you. The first question goes to Anantharamakrishnan sir. Here, question from Mr. Ravichandran, farmer from Thanjavur region. The number of people are suffering from diabetics in India is alarming. Majority of them consume rice. It is detrimental for the diabetics. Does the IFPT test glycemic index? Every rice variety has GI. It would be beneficial for the farmers and consumers to know not only about the yield, LB ratio, cooking quality, etc., but also about glycemic index of each of the rice variety. Not only rice variety, farm produce must provide glycemic index. So it is a kind of a quality criteria, it should come in the label. That is the request from him. And the second question to sir, from Janaki Raman, covering all aspects of raw materials to process foods value chain, what institutional mechanisms are needed to scale up the tested solutions which you have mentioned in your slides? And the third question is related to this is from Chittur Guha Sarkar, a very comprehensive presentation, but how women SAG members from lower strata of pyramid can get capabilities and technology at lower cost. The technologies like 3D printer, etc. are so costly. Any low cost technology you can share for the farmers that need it most over big companies like PepsiCo, etc. Then again one more question from Bihar, that is jackfruit. Instead of selling it as a kind of an fresh fruit, is there any possibility for value addition? How small farmer can access the technologies? Yes, sir. With these four questions,
go with the first question as a diabetes. Yes, some interlinking is there. Some studies already is proven as rice eaters are there, but it is mainly, if you look at the rice itself as a different, like if you traditional rice, Karpu Kavani is the around 52 is the GI, and IFPT has the glycemic index center, and we exclusively developed the center to see that how the disintegration takes place in the stomach and how much glucose is released to the intestine, and we have our own model. And now what IFPT developed the model is used by the most of the industries as well, and we have come up with all the traditional rice varieties, what is the GI, and how it is works, all the things. Very soon we are going to release the document. And apart from that, he asked question about the like Maplai Samba, it's a 68. Our Ponni varieties comes around above 70. Basmati comes around 60. It's fine, but it is a raw rice. And when it is, normally we'll take the rice with the like a composition of the rice with the sambar, dal and other things. Then the GI will changes. Because the glucose disintegration takes place, the stomach is entirely changes with the other composition. That study also IFPT has taken, and very soon we are going to come up with all the rice varieties, what is the GI of our region, and apart from that, combination with the rice or curd, how it is affect on the GI. So soon we are going to release, and if you want any support for your own traditional rice you are cultivating, we will try to help you to find out what is the GI. That's the first question. Second question about institutional. Yes, our incubation center, we are supporting all the entrepreneurs. They can bring the raw materials, they can do it, our incubation itself. And we are giving the totally free of cost, only they have to pay electricity charges. That's what we could create 100 entrepreneurs, and they can use all our incubation facilities. Third question is self-help groups. Recently launched that Prime Minister FMI scheme. It has given exclusive for self-help groups and farmers, producers, organizations, like a 1 crore turnover is there. More than that you can, limit is not given, and per group member will get a 40,000 rupees seed money for the self-help group. That's for Government of India, and IFPT also supporting. Apart from that, he wanted the low-class technology, and yes, we are doing the technologies for the bigger companies as well, lower company. Now we decided IFPT, like a highly demanded technology, we made it totally free. Earlier it was the cost, now totally free, including, for example, moringa powder making technologies uploaded in IFPT website, and how to prepare the moringa powder, including the DPR writing, and how to apply, full detailed presentation, free to download, free to see that. And moringa, guava, onion, all three technologies already uploaded in our website. You can visit our website, you can download it, it's a free of cost. Now every week we are going to release one technologies for farmers and small entrepreneurs, free of cost, everything in the video. Not only in Tamil, we uploaded in the Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, Punjabi, Assami, all the language, Nagasami, and other languages, Hindi as well. So all the languages, we are uploading all the technologies for farmers, small entrepreneurs, and every week we are releasing one technologies for access to that. That's the one thing. Then 3D printer cost, that main purpose to develop the 3D printer indigenous itself is bringing the cost down. Normal 3D printer cost around 25 lakhs at the bigger scale, and we developed the 3D print cost around 1 lakh. Still we wanted to reduce the 1 lakh to 50,000. That's what right now we are working on it. So cost is not that much. So we are moving to close to that, reducing the cost of the 3D printer to anybody can hold it at our house, like how we have the mixie or our microwave, we can use the 3D printing at home. That's what we try to work on. And jackfruit, yes, sir, what I said, the jackfruit, only we are using 25% from the jackfruit. Remaining is going to be waste. So we can convert a jackfruit, unripened jackfruit, still better. For the low GA, it's a proven it. So we convert in the jackfruit powder, value addition can be done in the farm gate itself. If they can remove it and they can work. And Tamil Nadu government is giving the subsidy almost 50% for the solar dryer and all. And now central government, including IFPT, is planning to expand our solar dryer to all the farming community. So they can use the solar dryer for the drying of this jackfruit. Then just you need to mill it with the pulverizer. Then you can convert the jackfruit powder. A lot of demand is continuously increasing. So jackfruit, it's really is good because high amount of the protein and fibers are there. Value addition of this, the wastage of that 70% will definitely help. And once again, thank you so much. Anything is there, please send a mail to IFPT mailbox. So we'll happy to support any of the requirements needed from the farmers or self-help groups or any entrepreneurs. Once again, thank you so much for the MSSR Foundation to inviting me for this session.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So next set of questions are to Dr. Shambu Prasad, sir. Here, the first one is in the recommendations you mentioned in the presentation on redesigning FPOs is very much needed. Are there any examples or conversion of FPOs or FIGs into employee-owned private enterprises which will give each member ownership? And the second one is, can FPO, you have mentioned, can FPO be a sustainable model to small and marginal farmers? Can you give some more points on this theme?
Yeah, so very briefly, I think I addressed the first question in the chat box as well. Essentially, the fact is we need to recognize that while the talk about FPOs has been happening a lot, it's a much used word. Building these institutions will take time, and sometimes thinking in a time frame of just 3 years isn't enough. Otherwise, we are having lots of problems with many of these institutions being set up, and the compliance cost of that is actually being borne by the board of directors. Sometimes they're having to take it away from their share capital. So I think we're still in the early stages of understanding producer collectives as business enterprises. And if we look at a 5-year time frame, we may get much more insights on what it takes to make FPOs successful. And I think that's the kind of work that we hope to engage in, because as part of our own curriculum, we've been finding difficulty in having good cases that actually say what happens in the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, after withdrawal, what happens, what is the support that is required from grants to keep it going, how can an FPO be sustainable? I don't think we have cracked all these problems. There have been great advantages with the AMUL model, partly because of the successful establishment of an organization like NDDB, which is not quite there in the case of the FPO movement today. So I think we are still at early stages. It requires a lot of patience and also some amount of patient capital. But hopefully, I think the new scheme, one of the better things is the time frame being talked about is much larger. And I think we'll have to do a few experiments, share a lot with each other before we find what will actually do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Right now, the support for FPOs, largely on an average 3 to 5 years, the different organizations are giving. We need to closely observe what is going on in the field as soon as the support is withdrawn. I agree with you. There are more things will come up to strengthen the FPO when we do that. Yeah. Now, when we move to APC, sir, there are few questions related to the enterprises which you have mentioned. One is from Gopi. Thanks for a nice presentation. What is the proportion of farmers covered under FPOs in Tamil Nadu? Is there any plan to intensify FPO or FIG in Kaveri Delta as it is protected special agriculture zone recently? And the second one is from Ravichandran, farmer from Thanjavur district. There are different schemes which are supporting farmers on production technologies. We are able to increase the production and productivity in farming, but marketing skills, management skills, with financial management exclusively are needed for farmers. We need to be trained in various management skill. After all, farming is also a major economic activity. With a better management skill, we can achieve much more. My question is there any possibility to train the farmers with management consultants in improving their skills so that they'll be in a better position to participate in higher value chains? And the third one from Gopalakrishnan from Annamalai University. This is not a kind of a question. He is commenting that APC sir is a people's collector in Kadalur. Is there any possibility to come back to Kadalur as it is a disaster prone vulnerable district? Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. All interesting questions, and let me first respond. The first question is from Mr. Gopi about the proportion of farmers covered under FPOs. My broad idea is that it's about 10%. See, I told you that we have already formed 6 lakh farmers into FIGs, FPGs, some of them into FPOs, 200 FPOs, 2 lakh farmers into FPOs. But we have also got the farmer producer organizations formed by NABARD and SFAC. So if you include that, there are about 500 and odd, or about more than 500 FPOs that are there. So about 6 lakh farmers are broadly involved in the FPO collectives at present, and total number of farming families that are there. Of course, if you see PM Kisan, it is around 40 lakhs, but that's only those who are eligible. But broadly speaking, generally they say that there are about 70 lakh farming families in Tamil Nadu. So 1/10 at present FPO. So we have a long way to go. We're in the beginning, and in fact, Tamil Nadu has been actually focusing on this collectivization since the last 4 years very seriously. We have a long way to go, and as we progress, we will see this system, FPO collectivization, bringing in a lot of prosperity to the farmers. I am very upbeat about it. Okay, that is my first response. The second I thought is about, okay, thanks. What is the proportion? Then is there any plan to intensify your FPO, FPAGs in the Kaveri Delta as it is a special protective zone? Yes. FIG, FPO, we are not only concentrating on Kaveri Delta, we are concentrating all over the state. So we have planned to collectivize another 2 lakh farmers this year. And at this pace or at a higher, now the government of India scheme has also come in, we'll go for a higher intensivization of this particular aspect. Then the next is Mr. Ravi Chandran farmer. Ravi Chandran is a very progressive farmer, Tiruvarur. I have a lot of regards for him. And he has asked how we can train the farmers in marketing skills. At the broad gist of what he has told through inputs from IM, XLRI and other management institutes. Yes, definitely we need the farmers to be trained for marketing. Farmers are very simple. Like for me as a bureaucrat, it's a pleasure to be agriculture secretary. You deal with the people who are so simple. That's a society that's so simple, a very lovable society. And the farmers need to be trained. They need to be trained about something that they are not very much experienced about, and that's marketing. So that's why I said that government has to handhold. We have been handholding them in terms of post-harvesting and marketing, etc. We need to, for example, the government of Tamil Nadu has been opening, we have sent many circulars to the district collectors that for all the farmer producer organizations and the value addition units that are set up in the districts, on Monday grievance days in the collectorates, you do have special counters for all of them to sell their products. But that's only at this point of time. Once they keep on growing, we'll need more. So that's why, for example, one step is our Ulvar Sundays, that is farmers markets. That's a place where the farmers themselves can do their marketing. So that's a place where we help them in fixing the prices. The agriculture department says, okay, today tomato is this price, brinjal is this price. This is the fixed price in Ulvar Sundays. So that's how we also help them in marketing. But we will welcome all the think tanks, IIMs, XLRI, IAFPT, IRMA and other organizations to give us thought process about how to further help in marketing, direct marketing techniques to the farmers. In fact, we are also linking up during this COVID time. I have tried to link up a lot of e-commerce organizations like Amazon, Udaan and other things with the FPOs for marketing of their products. So this is something that's very useful and we will further do. We have a long way to go in this regard also. I think the last one question is about me becoming a collector of this thing. Thank you for your good words. That shows your love and affection. You know, everybody has to go through the various careers across your life, but collectorship was something that I was there about 15-20 years back, and I am still the monitoring secretary of Cuddler district. I still am there whenever the government sends me, and it's part of our duty. But anyway, it's nice to hear that your love and affection is very nice to know about. Thank you so much. Yeah. I think I have answered any other thing. Yeah, the next is for ma'am, Mrs. Nikita.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Then to last speaker, Nikita, there are two questions. One is when we generally speak about fisher women, we mean belonging to the fisher women from traditional fishing community. There are substantial number of SC and ST women are engaged in the activity. They are not given equal importance and their voices are not heard and welfare schemes are not taken care. Why? And the second one is from Dr. Ravi Shankar from Andhra Pradesh. In East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh, the tribals live in the hills and the fishermen along the coast. The tribals release dry fish very much. And his center is Nature for Culture is working on linking the food habits of tribals with livelihood of fishermen by directly selling through Girijan Cooperative Society and Fishermen Cooperative Society of AP. he's willing to collaborate with you on this line to take the initiative further. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for the questions. If you have, Shri Gopal Krishnan, if you had listened to my talk, fisherwomen themselves are unrecognized and undervalued. So it is no surprise that women from other communities selling or dealing with fish are not recognized. It's basically in getting them organized. I think one thing that can be done is trying to get them organized and maybe form a group or a cooperative society and then deal with the institutions of the state for getting credit or other benefits. So that is one way of getting recognition for them. And the second question on I think it's more of an observation regarding tribals relishing fish and the coastal community in that area producing dry fish. So it's basically linking up the two, and if the organization is already engaged in that, it's a very good thing. And we can give technology support and the support on improving the dry fish quality, because we know that the quality of dry fish that is produced in most coastal areas is very, very poor. Mainly because they do beach drying. There is a lot of grit and other impurities in the product. The product also needs to be dehydrated to a particular level. So those standardization of product has to take place, and also importance on packaging, either bulk packaging or retail packaging. So these things have to be taken care of. I think we can handhold in technology as well as in the experience that we have in working with groups. I think that we can share. And I think there is one last question on climate resilient value chain, whether value chain mechanisms are climate resilient in fisheries. That is, Shri Ravi Shankar has asked that question. No, the value chain in fisheries are very, very dependent on climate. We know that the climatic conditions actually affect the fishing activities a lot. And what we're seeing now with the pandemic on one side, there is the monsoon fury on the other side. The fishing has totally, in several parts of the country, the fishing has totally stopped. And also the pandemic related protocols are so very difficult to implement in fishing, because fishing as an activity involves a lot of physical contact, and I don't know really how social distancing can be done there. And also markets, chaotic, landing centers, chaotic. A lot of people where tens used to trade before, now hundreds are trading and thousands frequent every day. So it's very, very difficult to follow that. Their climate resilient mechanisms are very, very poor in fisheries, and there have been attempts through certain projects where we try to actually see whether there is some traditional inputs that can come from the knowledge systems within the society where we can bring in the resilience to them. So yes, there's a lot to work, and I was very excited when I heard about the FPOs, but I really don't know whether it will work in fisheries. We can try, because fisheries is multi-species, it's so diverse. We don't know the quantity which comes in each day, the volumes that are landed each day are so there is so much variation every day in the species that are landed, in the volumes that are landed. So we really don't know how an FPO can work, but I think that's a very exciting option, and I think Bedi sir should also look at fisheries rather than.
Yeah, thank you very much, madam. With this, all the listeners, participants, all agree that this, we had a very wonderful session and very great listening from all those eminent speakers. I thank each one of you, Dr. Anandharamakrishnan, Dr. Shambu Prasad, Mr. Gagandeep Singh Bedi, and Dr. Nikita Gopal. One request from the technical group here, they request you to send your presentations to Foundation so that we can keep it in the archives. And with your permission, if you agree, then we can share it with those researchers who wish to refer to this presentation. And right from the beginning, I was failing in my duty if I am not mentioning the silent role played by Dr. Shakila, who is silently documenting the whole proceedings by sitting in our CABC, Community Agri-Biodiversity Center at Wayanad, Kerala. With this, I thank all the speakers once again, and also all the participants who are physically present here, as well as virtually joining us from different parts of the globe. Thank you very much. With this, we can close this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
just to announce that our next session and the concluding session of this conference is at 4 p.m. Please do join us. This is very important because we will be looking at global and national policies for sustainable food systems for a balanced diet. Speakers include Dr. Ismail Seraldin. You can see the names of the speakers on the screen, including Dr. David Nabarro, Dr. Renu Swarup, Dr. Mahapatra, Dr. Ramesh Chand, Ambassador Kenneth Quinn, and Professor Swaminathan. So please do join us at 4 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And the same way, we'll be streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you.